You know, I gotta give credit where credit is due, and so this segment is an absolute must. The Washington Post actually calls out Joe Biden for lying during his town hall the other day when he said it's Trump's fault all of these people died, and if only he did the right thing, they'd all be alive. It's not true. And I was really annoyed watching that town hall because I was like, can anyone please just push back on him a little bit? Nope. It was just a platform for him to say whatever he wanted. Meanwhile, Donald Trump did his ABC town hall, and he got some pretty harsh questions. Joe Biden, softball, T-ball. They were lobbing softballs at him saying, Mr. Vice President, Donald Trump is very bad. He's so bad. Can you comment? You're right, he's bad. Thank you very much. And they'd walk away. So when asked, Joe Biden claimed that Trump is responsible for everything. And I'm surprised to see the Washington Post has actually correctly pointed out Trump probably did the best he could. And even if he did come up with a national plan, he wouldn't be able to get 50 governors on board. Thank you. I am sick and tired of the left saying it's Trump's fault coronavirus happened. Donald Trump doesn't control what states do. That's not how this country works. Trump can't just mandate a lockdown across the country. It doesn't work that way. He would have to call up each governor and say, here's the plan. And guess what? They would likely say, screw you, Trump. Because when he called them offering assistance for the riots, they said the same thing. No, they would rather watch their cities or states burn to the ground than accept help from Donald Trump. All right, I'm being hyperbolic because, of course, when it came to the actual wildfires, they did accept the help from Donald Trump, but not the riots. Here's the story from the Washington Post. Joe Biden's CNN town hall, an occasional whopper. A Joe Biden town hall does not hit the Pinocchio meter as much as a Donald Trump town hall. Biden tends to stick close to the facts, but occasionally gets carried away with some over-exuberance. Here are 5 claims that caught our attention during his CNN town hall in Moosic, PA, moderated by Anderson Cooper. I'd like to point out there's a period where they go to commercial and then Joe Biden and Anderson Cooper violate social distancing so he can whisper in his ear and people are mocking them over that. But that's not a fact check. That's just criticism. Here's the quote. If the president had done his job from the beginning, all the people would still be alive. All the people. I'm not making this up. Just look at the data. Look at the data. Actually, Biden is making this up. There is no data to support this, say the Washington Post. Even if the president had moved rapidly in January to deal with the coronavirus and had been able to persuade the Chinese leadership to be more forthcoming about the situation, even nations that have been praised for their handling of the pandemic, such as South Korea, New Zealand, and Iceland, have suffered some deaths. 377 in South Korea, 25 in New Zealand, and 10 in Iceland. In the U.S., with 50 states run by governors, policies have varied greatly. Trump has been faulted for not articulating a national plan, but he would have had trouble persuading every governor to follow the exact same path. On the flip side, Trump routinely claims he saved millions of lives, a claim also not supported by evidence. No, Washington Post, it is. Because the New York Times put out a chart. I remember it was a little slider bar. I got a video and I'm like sliding it back and forth and it said the best case scenario was looking like 1 million dead. The worst case scenario was looking at like 6 million dead. And now we have 200,000. So Trump is saying he saved millions. It's just framing. It's an opinion. We don't know. There were projections. We beat the projections. Trump is giving himself a pat on the back. Fine, I guess. I wouldn't say it's not backed up by evidence. I would just say, of course, Trump is taking the most beneficial view he possibly can, and Joe Biden is taking the worse. Both are a little over the top, but Joe Biden is the least fair because you can at least say there is a possibility Donald Trump did save millions of lives. It is not a possibility that if Trump did something different, there would be absolutely no deaths. That's insane. Well, I'm glad to see that Joe Biden is getting some pushback. There's another quote. When back in January, I wrote an article for USA Today saying, we've got a pandemic, we've got a real problem. The Washington Post says Biden overstates what he said in January. He did not flatly say it was a pandemic. Biden's op-ed was published on January 27th titled, Trump is worst possible leader to deal with coronavirus outbreak. The op-ed appeared only days after the Chinese government shut down the city of Wuhan in an effort to stem the crisis. So Biden should be commended for focusing early on an issue that for most Americans was still a distant threat. However, that was around the time that Donald Trump formed the COVID task force, brought on Dr. Fauci. He almost immediately banned travel to and from China. So words, Joe, you criticize Trump's actions. They say the USA Today piece is more of an attack on Trump and a recollection of Obama administration steps taken against the 2014 Ebola outbreak then a detailed plan for action against a possible pandemic. But at the same time, Biden indicated that he took the threat seriously, even if he did not explicitly say a pandemic was on the way. Biden referred to the possibility of a pandemic and noted, the outbreak of a new coronavirus, which has already infected more than 2,700 people and killed over 80 in China, will still get worse before it gets better. Cases have been confirmed in a dozen countries. With at least 5 in the U.S., there will likely be more. A few days later, on January 31st, Biden asserted, we have right now a crisis with the coronavirus. That certainly stands in contrast to Trump, who repeatedly played down the possibility of a pandemic in the U.S. And you know what? It's a fair point. However, as I stated in my main channel segment, Donald Trump took action, which is credited with saving many lives, banning travel to and from China. Joe Biden criticized this as xenophobic. Donald Trump banned travel to Europe as well. We can argue who was taking it seriously earlier or not, but I'll tell you this. It doesn't matter. If Joe Biden thought that it was a threat, so did Trump. Trump downplayed it. Yeah, to prevent a panic. He even said that. I think it's a good thing. You know why? Because the UN said if the economy shut down, we were looking at 250 million starvation deaths. Maybe Trump made the wrong call, but I don't think it's an issue of intent. I don't think it's an issue that Trump was trying to kill people or didn't care. He downplayed it because he thought he was doing the right thing to save lives. And I can respect that. Joe Biden took no action. He wasn't the president. I'm not going to fault him for not being the president. But if you want to claim that Donald Trump did a bad job, tell me what Joe Biden would have done differently. And then I have to believe you, he actually would have when he was criticizing the president. So I'm sorry. I think it's ridiculous to use COVID against Trump or for Biden, or even vice versa. Look, I'll be critical of, I think Trump could have done some things better. Maybe he should have played it up a little bit more, sent out some masks. They made mistakes early on. I can't fault them. We all knew the same things. It was a rapidly moving story. So it's hard to criticize Trump. Joe Biden criticized Trump, and I can criticize him for criticizing Trump. But that's really not that big a deal. Nobody knows. There was nobody else, and I'm sure Biden would have done just as bad. That's why I think it's a moot point. I think it's silly. Here we have another quote. We should expect another 215,000 dead by January. But if we wore a mask, we'd have 100,000 of those lives doing nothing but that. These numbers are on target. Deaths from the novel coronavirus are near 200,000 in the U.S., and one influential group of researchers predicts the total will reach 415,000 by 2021. The projection comes from the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation at the University of Washington. I don't think this one really matters because Dr. Fauci himself said we shouldn't wear masks. So is it Trump's fault we didn't wear masks when Fauci himself was saying not to? No. Now we know to wear masks. Okay. Everyone's been asked to wear masks, and Trump wore a mask too. Did Trump downplay it? Sure. I don't know what else you want to do. You want to argue that he can do better? Sure. It's not the biggest deal in the world to me. I'm sad people are losing their lives for sure. But sometimes these like natural disasters occur, and we try our best to solve these problems. Sometimes we don't act fast enough. If you think that's grounds for me to say I'm not going to vote for him, you are wrong. Because Joe Biden is a bigger risk. I know what Trump is doing. I know he's learned from his mistakes. And now we've moved past this. Thank you for pointing it out, Joe Biden. I'm sure Trump will accommodate accordingly. But if you want to talk about switching out the president during a crisis just because you've criticized him, I'm going to say no, that's insane. Trump can steer the ship and steer us through this crisis. And just because he did something wrong in the past doesn't mean he's going to do the same thing again in the future. Maybe after 4 years, we'll give someone else a chance, and that's the way it is. But I don't see this as an easy issue. If Donald Trump came out and literally took a vial of COVID and shat it on the ground and started laughing maniacally, I'd be like, get this guy out of there. He didn't do that. I think Trump had good intentions. I think he made some mistakes, and I don't see any evidence Biden would have done better, period. They have another quote. He's in federal court trying to do away with the Affordable Care Act. 100 million people with pre-existing conditions like your mom would not have to pay more for their insurance under now. What, Joe? Get your words together. Washington Post says there's an estimated 102 million people with pre-existing health conditions, according to a report by the group Avalier. But depending on where people get their insurance, such as the half of Americans who get it from their employer, premiums would not necessarily go up for all if Trump succeeds in nullifying the ACA. So Biden is wrong. Another quote. But when you guys started talking on television about Biden, If he wins, he'd be the first person without an Ivy League degree to be elected president. Nope. No reporter said that. Ronald Reagan, elected in 1980, was the last president who did not go to an Ivy League university. He went to Eureka College in Illinois. Neither Biden nor his running mate Kamala Harris went to an Ivy League university. The first such Democratic ticket since '84. Biden attended the University of Delaware and the Syracuse University College of Law, while Harris attended Howard University and the University of California Hastings College of Law. They say, update. Related to this comment, we missed one major blooper. Quote, guys like me who were the first in my family to go to college. As the Washington Post has reported, while Biden was the first on his father's side of the family to go to college, he was not the first in his whole family. Thank you for pushing back on Joe Biden. It's that simple. It doesn't mean he's wrong about everything. It doesn't mean Trump is right about everything. But I highlight this just to say a couple things. Biden has been wrong. Trump has been wrong. But if the media doesn't get their act together and play it straight, criticizing Biden when he does wrong, people will not believe him or you. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all next time.